If you are married, it is very likely that you had romantic relationships before you settled down with your spouse, whether you are a man or a woman. If you are not married, it is also very likely that you will have some, if not many, romantic relationships before you settle down with your spouse. Those people will not become your spouse, despite the quality of the love and romantic relationships you enjoy with them. There is no doubt that many people settle down with their spouse after enjoying failed love and romantic relationships with many people. Sometimes, this happens because some people date those who are neither ready nor prepared to settle down. At other times, it happens because some people are not honest, committed, or serious in romantic relationships. Do you know that some people are so dishonest that they date different people at the same time? It is also noteworthy that romantic relationships could fail through the fault of neither of the lovers, but due to factors that are beyond their control, which are rational, reasonable, and acceptable. Every love affair or romantic relationship must not culminate in wedlock. Furthermore, some people settle down again after a failed marriage. Some people also remarried with different people because their successive marriages failed. However, an individual may be seen as an irresponsible person if he or she has many ex or successive failed marriages, especially if the breakups resulted from his or her own faults. Your ex is your ex-lover, your ex-boyfriend, your ex-girlfriend, your ex-fiancé or ex-fiancée. Your ex is someone you had a romantic relationship with. From the above, your ex could also be your ex-wife or your ex-husband, someone you had a failed marriage with. However, the focus of this video is the place of your ex in your life after you settle down. In other words, what should you do with your ex when you settle down? Should you retain your relationship with your ex and remain in communion with him or her? Or should you discard your ex completely from your life and terminate everything you have with him or her when you settle down? Before you continue watching this video, you should click the link below to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like watching educative and inspirational videos. What you should do with your ex when you settle down depends on different factors, which do not apply to everyone. The first factor you should consider in managing this challenge is, why did you not settle down with your ex? This is the first factor that determines if you should retain your relationship with your ex after your marriage or not. I noted earlier that romantic relationships could fail through the faults of neither of the lovers, but due to factors that are rational, reasonable, and acceptable. Let me illustrate this with a practical example. I visited a friend some time ago, but the wife told me that his ex visited, but the husband saw her off. Though I did not ask the woman any question on that, sometime later, I asked my friend the reason he did not marry the ex. He told me that though they truly loved each other while they were dating, medical experts advised them not to settle down with each other because their genotypes are AS. Though they are both married, though not to each other, they still retain their relationships. This would not have been so if either of them was cheating on the other, or if either of them has an irresponsible lifestyle. Wise lovers could also end their romantic relationship with each other if they realize that they are not compatible. It is noteworthy that the future of every marriage can be predicted, even very accurately, by observing the lovers during their dating. There is no rationale continuing a romantic relationship when you discover that you and your lover are parallel lines. The point being argued is that the fact that a pair of lovers decides to quit their love relationship because they discover that their love affair cannot culminate in marriage does not necessarily imply that they should cut everything between them. Hence, If the plan of a pair of lovers to get married to each other fails through the faults of neither of them, but due to factors that are beyond their control, which are rational, reasonable, and acceptable, they can retain their relationships with each other after their marriages, even for the rest of their lives. One of the most interesting things about your ex is that he or she is one of the few people who knows you and also understands you more than most other people. Consequently, your ex may be of help to your marriage with wise and unbiased counsel when you have misunderstanding with your spouse. This is one of the reasons you may not discard your ex from your life when you settle down if he or she is reasonable and responsible. The next factor to consider is, can you combine your marriage with a relationship with your ex? Can you combine both relationships and be disciplined and responsible in them? Can you resist being irresponsible in your marriage because of the distractions from the relationship with your ex? Can you resist insulting your spouse before your ex just because you want to make your ex feel more important in your life than your spouse? There are some rules that regulate the relationship with an ex as a married person. The first rule is that the relationship must be pure and chaste. This should reflect in your words, thoughts, and actions with each other. Your ex should not be your sex partner. You should not say anything to your ex behind your spouse if you cannot say so to him or her before your spouse. You should not have any chat with your ex if you will delete it from your phone because you do not want your spouse to see it. The second rule is that nothing about the relationship with your ex should be a secret to your spouse. Another rule is that you should know your limits, boundaries, and borderlines in the relationship because you are neither spouses nor lovers. Besides being pure and chaste, the relationship must also be seen to be pure and chaste by your spouses and everyone. For instance, you should not relate, communicate, or play with each other like lovers or spouses. You should also not be seen in hidden places with your ex. You should be able to call your ex on phone or receive calls from him or her in the presence of your spouse. Furthermore, everything about your relationship with your ex should be subordinated to your marriage. Consequently, you should not love your ex more than your spouse. You should not spend more time with your ex in physical meetings or telephone calls. You should also not spend more money on your ex than on your spouse. You should not give more attention to your ex than your spouse. If you show more love, care, affection, or attention to your ex than your spouse, then you are an irresponsible spouse. Perhaps the most important factor that will determine if you can combine your relationship with your spouse and your relationship with your ex is your personality and the personality of your ex. It is very likely that you can combine both relationships if you and your ex are responsible, self-disciplined, God-fearing, and morally upright. Otherwise, your relationship with your ex may ruin both or either of your marriages because both of you will not resist being irresponsible in your relationship with each other. I noted earlier that the first factor that determines if you should retain your relationship with your ex after your marriage is the reason you did not settle down with each other. I also noted that the second reason is your ability to combine both relationships. The last reason is your spouse at home with your relationship with your ex? Is your relationship with your ex acceptable to your spouse and the spouse of your ex? The response to these questions is very imperative because it determines if you and your ex will enjoy good relationships with your spouses while you still relate with each other. The response to these questions also determines if your relationship with your ex has the potential or capacity to destroy either of your marriages or both marriages. It is very irrational to retain your relationship with your ex if it constitutes a threat to either of your marriages or your marriage and that of your ex. After all, you both had an opportunity of getting married to each other before you decided to settle down with your spouses. It is very instructive to note that one of the most important steps to retaining your relationship with your ex is making him or her a good friend to your spouse. Even if the love affair with your ex failed because of neither of your faults, and you are both responsible and disciplined enough to combine the relationship with your marriages, you and your ex should discard your relationship with each other if any of your spouses is against it, or if the relationship will be a secret to any of your spouses. You should not have settled down with someone if you still have feelings for your ex. You and your ex should be mindful of the feelings of your spouses more than your feelings for each other. My dear friend, you should guard your marriage very jealously at all times. You should not make your ex a priority in your life or more important than your spouse because you are a mere option to him or her. Do you know that your ex will not abandon his or her marriage and marry you if your marriage is destroyed because of your relationship with him or her? If your ex could not settle down with you, he or she will still not be able to settle down with you, even if your marriage breaks down because of your relationship with him or her. This is the reason your relationship with your spouse should always be more important and more valuable to you than your relationship with your ex. You should not be deceived by what your ex tells you about how he or she still loves you and how you are everything to him or her. The reason is that you are not as important to him or her as the spouse or children. The message in this video also applies to married people who have nasty romantic relationships and love affairs with people who are not their ex. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, you should click the link below to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like watching educative and inspirational videos and you are visiting this channel for the first time, or if you have been watching the videos in this channel but you have not subscribed to it. You should also turn on the notification bell so that you will be informed whenever a new video is published in this channel. I hope to meet you again in the next video. Thanks for watching.